and welcome to ABP Live. I have with me today Honorable Foreign Affairs Advisor of the Interim Government of Bangladesh, Touhid Hossain. We're going to understand from him what has been the turmoil, what is being decided in terms of Bangladesh's foreign policy, and also the fact that what we see in the future, and especially with a focus on India-Bangladesh bilateral ties. Welcome to ABP Live, sir. Thank you for giving us your time. So if I can ask you, I know the interim government has come up at a very difficult time, although I know this is the time of rejoice that I can see in Bangladesh coming here in Dhaka. I can see people are calling it as a second revolution. When I interviewed Chief Advisor also, he told me that he sees it as a second liberation. But I know when it comes to foreign policy, it is always very difficult to steer your bilateral ties, especially with your neighbors. So if you can tell us what will be the foreign policy like, especially your relationship with India.
Thank you. You already know the background of this government.
Yes.
Actually, it is a revolution that has taken place. And this revolution has been basically enacted, led by the very young generation. Started with students.
Yes.
Then the people joined in, and the people who joined in are also mostly very young people. We have paid a very heavy price. We have lost at least 700 lives have been lost in this process. And then comes the question of expectations. The young generation, which has brought about this revolution, has certain, if you call it, vision for their country.
Right.
For their country coming to the future. Mm-hmm. Now, the basic job of this government is to take care of those expectations.
Okay.
Because let me tell you, the young generation here are very clear-headed. They know what they want. They're not confused. We often think that we the elder people only know how to handle things. It's not that. They have very clear vision about their future, about their country, and it is incumbent on us, because they have put us in this place. It is incumbent on us to see that their vision, their hopes and aspirations are taken care of. We don't need to go into details. You know very well that the problems that were there, the problem of corruption, the problem of impunity, etc., etc. We are in the process of actually rebuilding the state in a different image, in which the very basic is that there will be no discrimination, and there will be equity for the entire populace. There will be corruption will be controlled, and the process should be such that it becomes irreversible.
Okay.
That someone comes to power and just changes everything. That opportunity should not be there.
Okay.
So that is the way the government is working. Now the foreign policy. You know that there are certain lofty principles in foreign policy, that we don't want enmity towards anyone. We want friendship with all. And of course, the first thing that comes is the neighborhood. We are in South Asia, and we want, of course, we want very good relations with the West, with the East. But then very important is our own neighborhood, our neighbors in South Asia. And of course, there, as you have mentioned, about bilateral relations, particularly with India. India is a very important neighbor for us, and we have sustained a relation since our independence movement. If I can be very candid,
sure.
If I can be very candid, the relation between the government for the last 15 years, the government and Indian establishment has been good, and often it is said that we are in the best of relations, etc., etc. But there is a distinct feeling that it was between the governments and not really involving the people. The people's aspirations, people's expectations were really not factored into. It was just a relation, as I look at it, and as the perception there among the population is that the two governments are cozy, but the people's aspirations, people's wishes have not been taken care of. We want good relations with India, but that relation has to be people-centric. That is the philosophy that we are working for. So we want that the people of Bangladesh, it's not only the government should feel that we have good relations, but the people of Bangladesh should feel that we have very good relations with India. And that is the job that we are into. And that is something in which we would like to see India working together.
You've raised a valid point, and that is what I've been also hearing on the ground from people, is the fact that India potentially or probably made the mistake of only dealing with one personality and one party.
Look, I didn't say that. You are saying
No, I know. I'm telling
press,
you the...
just look at your own press, what they are saying. The sensible people in your country are saying the same thing, that as you are saying, that it has been totally party or individual centric.
Right. So what do you think going forward India should be doing in terms of its really, mending ties, if I can say so, with Bangladesh?
Well, I would simply put it like this, that India knows what the people of Bangladesh want.
Okay.
India knows it. But probably they paid more importance to the relation with the individual and the party and the party government rather than the people. I think India should just, it's India to decide what they will do, but if I could make a suggestion, that they should look at what the people of Bangladesh want. They know it, and they can try to redirect the relation towards that direction.
Did you discuss all these issues when you had a conversation with EM Dr. Jaishankar?
I have not had any conversation with Jaishankar yet.
Okay.
I look forward to it someday. Your High Commissioner was here.
Yes.
Meeting me, and I made this clear to him, and I also spoke with him very frankly. I said that if we have to resolve an issue, the first thing is to recognize the problem. The problem is there, that there is not too friendly attitude of the people of Bangladesh towards India. Individually, there are very good relations. I have many friends in India, and so have many of us in this country. But then, when it comes to the relation between the two countries, we have to recognize that there is unhappiness among the people for a certain number of reasons. And for a good relation, sustainable and firm relations, it is important that the people's grievances are taken care of. And I would like India to do that. And we'll of course help, but then India has to take that attitude.
So you also recently said that, Bangladesh might be reviewing some of the recently agreed MOUs or the agreements that were signed between India and Bangladesh. What are those particular agreements you're talking about?
I would not go into individual MOUs. What I'm meaning is that MOUs are not really agreements.
They're not legally validated.
Enforceable. When we have to go for agreements, we have to revisit the MOUs. Revisit the MOUs because when the MOUs are signed, I was not in the government. I was outside, so I could get the feedbacks from the people. People had, many of the people had reservations about some of the MOUs. Now it is incumbent on both the governments to convince their population that yes, this is in your interest, that is in our interest. So that's why I think that we just have to go through it a little bit, and wherever some changes we think are necessary, we can again get in touch. And
are those related to the projects, connectivity projects, or anything like that?
Without going into specifics, I would say that it involves many of the areas, and the important thing is that reality and perception. Reality, of course, is important, but perception is no less important, particularly when it comes to the people. We want the perception to be taken care of. They know whatever is being done is in the interest of both countries, meaning also in the interest of us. We have to convince the people of that so that they are convinced that no, whatever is being done is in the interest of Bangladesh. Of course, it will be also in the interest of India. The mutuality is so important.
Sir, also from India's perspective, I can only tell you that there had been certain concerns in the fact that whether the projects will continue after, the turmoil and once things settle down. A and B, also the fact that how will the new government deal India's relationship vis-a-vis with China? If you can shed some light on that.
I think here is one thing.
Because you're strategically located in the Indian Ocean.
We have, through many decades, we have maintained, I think, a pretty good balance. We have had a close relation with India, and at the same time, we had a pretty close relation with China also, because while there is animosity between India and China, still India and China has a huge trade.
Yes.
So the interests reign supreme. So we have interests in India, we have interests in China, and we don't want to make one exclusive of the other. We will pursue a balanced policy towards both countries, and wherever our interest is there, we'll try to pursue that.
Because your former Prime Minister was in India for the swearing in, of course, of Prime Minister Modi. And then immediately after that, she went to China also and signed about, I think, 21 agreements.
But she also went to India in quick succession again.
Yes,
for
that's
bilateral
true.
visit.
Yes. So would you be reviewing the agreements that were signed with China too?
You see, the thing is like this. Anything that you sign is constantly under scrutiny.
Okay.
Because everything doesn't work exactly the way you imagined when you are signing a paper, particularly MOU. When it's an agreement signed by both countries, you have to abide by that definitely, even if sometimes you find that some of your interests are not being taken care of. But an international agreement between two nations or more nations, that is sacrosanct. Of course, if both parties agree, even those terms can be renegotiated. But as far as the MOUs are concerned, a lot of MOUs with both India and with China, and when we proceed to act on those MOUs to further take them to higher levels, definitely we will scrutinize everything and see to it that it serves the interest of both countries.
And sir, also coming to the fact that, when we talk about foreign policy of Bangladesh, I know very soon the chief advisor will be going to UNGA. But I also recently heard you telling in a press conference that maybe you would be discussing with India to bring back former Prime Minister. Would you be starting the legal process?
Well, the cases are already there. So it's not really starting the legal process.
Okay.
As far as we are concerned, Foreign Ministry is concerned, if the legal system asks us to ask for repatriation of the former Prime Minister to face justice, then of course we will approach India with that. This is basically not Foreign Ministry's baby. It's basically the legal system.
But you will be told to do that.
If we are told to do that, of course we will do it.
Okay, but that question has not...
it has not come up as yet.
Okay. And what are some of the issues you think you can raise to the UN at this point of time? They will be also eager to hear, Bangladesh's roadmap.
The roadmap, as I understand so far, is under preparation. We have not finalized the roadmap as yet, but people are already working how to do things. What are the reforms absolutely necessary, and what are the reforms the young generation is looking forward to? We don't want a system in which someone just comes to power and becomes autocratic again like that. We want some safeguards under which the system will work, and the students and the youth do not have to come out of the streets again after 10 years. And again, there should be bloodshed or need for another revolution. So this is, I think, an opportunity, and the country will seize this opportunity and just enact the reforms that are needed for a better future for this country. And that may take some time, and I'm sure the new generation will be able to accommodate that time.
So then talking about some of the regional setups, like the SAARC summit is supposed to be hosted by Bangladesh. That's what we heard last time in December 2024. Will that go through, you think, or you'll need time to sort of settle down?
Bangladesh, as you know, is the initiator of SAARC. And we have remained steadfast on the role of SAARC in this region. Unfortunately, because of, again, coming to India-Pakistan conflict, that's
the process is stalled.
It fell a victim to that. And Mr. Muchkund Dubey had come to Dhaka at one time, and he was asked by the journalists that, is SAARC dead?
Yes.
His reply was, I really appreciate that. He said that it seems to be dead, but don't bury it as yet. It might resuscitate someday. And we are always hopeful that SAARC will come up. Chief Advisor Professor Yunus, he is keen on SAARC. And we want the SAARC process to revive again. And we want the cooperation of India and Pakistan in this respect, so that the rest of the countries, we don't fall victim to their animosity. That can remain a separate issue, and we would always look forward to SAARC being reactivated and play some role in the improvement of the life of the people.
Right, because in 2016 we saw Bangladesh joining India, saying that let's isolate Pakistan, and that's how but you would like to change that.
I don't think that was necessary on the part of Bangladesh. I personally don't agree with that at all. I think there is a conflict between India and Pakistan, and India had decided that they will not go to Pakistan for the summit, etc., etc. We didn't need to throw our lot in that, because I believe that we have specific relations with every country, and we should just maintain that instead of just taking the cue from another country. Our relation with Pakistan should be based on our mutual interest. Likewise with India, our mutual interest. So I strongly believe in that. And any opportunity that arises to resuscitate or reintroduce the SAARC process, we are ready to do that.
That's interesting, because you believe in the strategic importance of SAARC.
We do. It's not only strategic importance, it's important for the people. Look, I have been to Africa a number of times, and this time, last week, I went to Cameroon, which is a place I didn't go before, but I have traveled widely in Africa. In spite of so much of difference between the regional countries, every region of Africa, smaller region, say Southern African area, then the Central African region, they do not need visa to travel to each other's country.
The African Union, they have that understanding.
No, not African Union. Okay. There are smaller groupings.
Okay.
There's 8 countries in Southern Africa, about 9 countries in centering around, starting from Nigeria to Central African Republic. They don't need visas to go from one country to the other. There is a lot of difference in all respects within these countries, but still then they have been able to do this. We have not been able to do this. Whereas we were in the past one unit, which has now become 3, 4, 5 countries. It should have been easier for us to achieve such things, but we have not proceeded at all. Only I see that I once joked that the visa forms are growing in pages.
But we have something like a BBIN, which again, because of Bhutan didn't really take off. But these 3 countries, Bangladesh, India, and Nepal, wanted to.
Look, we wanted to, but then have we been able to do much? I don't see much
Hasn't
difference.
Taken off.
I cannot drive from here to Nepal through India. I cannot do it. So if we could do that, even sub-regionally, we would be very happy about that. But unfortunately, nothing is proceeding. Going back to the perception of the people, you see, one thing I have been very vocal about is border killings. One person is killed at the border and the whole of Bangladesh feels the bitterness. I don't know how it helps India. And this is absolutely achievable. The zero death at the border, which is being touted for the last so many years, this has not come out. Whereas I personally believe that this is very much achievable with goodwill from India. It was said that crimes on the border.
Yes, drug trafficking.
Which border in the world is there where there is no crime? In every border, small or large, crimes are there. Some irregularities are there, but people live with it. They don't kill people for that. This is something I think, if this could be stopped, a lot of grievances among the people of Bangladesh would go away.
Then there is discussion of fencing of the border also, that entire stretch. You think that will help?
I don't know.
Because this is a very serious issue.
I don't know why we need a fence. In Europe, in Africa, nowhere I have seen fences. And we say that we are such friendly people, friendly countries. And then we have a fence at the border. I don't know whose purpose this serves. Illegal crossing across the border is a most common thing all over the world. People go and come back. And for that, you have a fencing with Pakistan. You are at almost a perennial war with Pakistan. That is a different thing. But two such friendly countries having such strong fences, well, some people say that good fences make good friends. But I don't think it was that much necessary. And okay, then you have the fences. Then why do you have the killings at the borders?
So now shifting your focus a little bit on the fact that you are a strategically located country on the Bay of Bengal, and for the success of BIMSTEC, India always looks up to Bangladesh. But then there is this US also, which is now wanting BIMSTEC to be under the embrace of Indo-Pacific. That discussion was going on about a couple of years back. But what would be the focus of the interim government as far as Indo-Pacific and BIMSTEC, all those things are concerned, basically in the maritime domain?
Our position is very clear about this. We do not look at it from the point of view of military point of view. We don't look at it.
Okay.
We look at it from mostly economic point of view, that it should be beneficial to the people of the region. We have fortunately been able to, after long efforts, we have been able to delineate the maritime boundary. There are one or two, actually it is perfectly delineated by the court. So I think that it's important all sides follow it and stick to it very strictly. We want to do that also. And benefit as much as possible from connectivity through the sea, from economic activities in the Bay of Bengal, etc., etc. But not to say that the strategic importance goes away. Bay of Bengal is important for the Indo-Pacific strategy, and India is very much a party of the Indo-Pacific strategy. It's a member of the Quad, which we are not, and we are maintaining a sort of a balance in this respect. And I think that we will be able to maintain that, not being seen as enemy of any of the countries. We want to be friendly to all sides.
But Quad is also not a military alliance, is what India says.
It's not, but you see, again, what is there in paper and what is the perception. You have to go to that also. Quad, basically, the perception is that it has been formed to contain China. You would not say it in so many words, but then that is the perception which is there. For the success of BIMSTEC, I think one important issue is Myanmar. With Myanmar in turmoil, you cannot have a useful BIMSTEC because all the connectivities go through Myanmar.
Exactly.
So we look forward to a conclusion of the conflict in Myanmar. And they are also looking forward to a new system, not the old system in which a very strong center controls everything, etc. In all likelihood, it's going to be a federal system in which the states, not the divisions, but the states will have substantial autonomy. We have an additional problem with the Rohingyas, which is a very serious problem for us.
Yes, I was coming to that.
And this has to be resolved. There is only one option in which this can be resolved, is that they have to go back to their country with rights and with security. I'm not going into details of citizenship and other things, but they must go back with the right to pursue their economic life freely, one, and security from harassment or death or, arson, etc., etc. They are one of the most unfortunate people on earth. The Tatmadaw was their enemy.
Correct.
They drove them out. And Tatmadaw's enemy, the Arakan army, they are also not favorably disposed towards these helpless people.
And now we have other ethnic groups coming up and giving a pushback to the junta.
Let it happen. That is some sort of internal matter of Myanmar. how they are going to going through a process of change, and what the final change will be, they will decide it. But the thing is that the Rohingyas must return to the Rakhine state with security and rights. That's what we are sure of, that it has to be done. There is no other option. There are good people all over the world saying that we will take some, but they will take in hundreds of thousands. It's a million plus people situation. Some would even have them rehabilitated in our country. Bangladesh is not like Canada, that you have a huge territory and very few people. So we are the most densely populated country in the world. And we cannot afford to have, in that area, the local people have already become a minority in that area. That cannot go on forever. These people will have to go back, and they also want to go back. They want to go back to their villages and to pursue their economic life. But many changes have taken place within Myanmar. And I think the task ahead for the international community would be to put pressure on Arakan Army that, well, you have the government of this region, either independent or part of the federation, but then you must adhere to the human rights norms. And there is no doubt, everyone agrees that the human rights of the Rohingya people have been trampled upon, and there must be a remedy for them.
Would you be discussing the issue with India as well as your previous government used to do, to leverage the relationship between India and
I would definitely do that, and I'm sure my government would surely do that, because we want the help of India also. You see, unfortunately, our expectations from India, when there was this golden relation phase, even during that stage, India really was not forthcoming as regards Rohingyas are concerned. Well, India is free to have the type of relation it has with Myanmar. That is not our concern. But then when there is a problem that has arisen because of Myanmar, we have not created the problem. Myanmar has created this problem. And on that issue, as a friend, India, the people expected that India will be beside us, putting pressure on Myanmar, putting pressure on the powers that are there, so that these people can go back. And we still hope that India ultimately will be forthcoming and help us be on our side, be on the side of the Rohingyas whose human rights have been violated tremendously, and their rightful return to their homeland. We expect that India will ultimately come around and help in that respect.
So now coming to the issue of the floods, I know and I can see on the roads, there are protests happening in every corner of Dhaka. And of course, India is being blamed for that, for what they are saying that excess water was released without informing the Bangladesh government beforehand. But you have seen the MEA statement, what they have said. However, keeping that aside, do you think this is probably the time from your perspective when you can push India on the Teesta agreement? But again, you know the state and center problems that are going on for years since Dr. Manmohan Singh's time.
About the flood situation, I am not an expert, so I cannot say anything. Again, the question of perception comes. I'm sure the water experts can really find out the reason why this happened, why not. From my experience, I have attended many water meetings in different capacities. I was Additional Secretary looking after South Asia. I was Deputy High Commissioner in Kolkata. I was First Secretary in Delhi looking after the water issue also. Sometimes it has been our request that please share information in advance so that we can prepare. That has been our request to India all the time, and it doesn't harm India in any way. It benefits us without harming India. So that is always there. As for Teesta, the central state issue is not our issue. We are a sovereign nation negotiating with a sovereign nation, India, and I'm sure you are aware that we had almost reached an agreement many years back.
2011 it was all finalized.
Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister at that time. And how the central government of India will convince the province is absolutely Indian matter. As far as we are concerned, we can see that it's an international river in which we are not having any water in the dry season. It's completely blocked. This is not done. This is not done anywhere in the world. There can be a negotiation or a difference of opinion on the amount of sharing, but then we do not have any share of international rivers water when water is an asset, whereas we naturally have to take the entire brunt when water is a liability during the rainy season. The floods are there, even in the Tista Valley. When there are floods, we suffer from that. But when we need water in the dry season, we don't have any. Now, this I think is something that India has to look into and has to resolve this issue.
But sir, do you think that in case there is no progress in this, in the previous government we saw China made an offer of dredging, the Tista dredging project. Do you think that could be a possibility that you can look at?
I would not go into specifics, but let me tell you one thing very, very clearly, that this government has to look after the interest of its people. Any government has to, but particularly this government, as it has come to power,
it is the people.
The situation, it has to look after its interest. And if no agreement comes up with India, then we will, of course, pursue something that will be of our interest and will help to reduce the suffering of the people in that region.
And sir, my last question to you, I know you have a very busy schedule ahead. There were these talks going on, although the negotiations didn't start, but a feasibility study was done on India-Bangladesh Free Trade Agreement. You called it a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Would you like to resume that? Would you think that is needed, or do you think that's a far-fetched thing? Probably, you can address the low-hanging fruits.
I would not really make any specific comment on this. In fact, this is an ongoing process. These agreements take time. We still don't have any agreement with any countries, if I know correctly. So we have to examine the pros and cons. And of course, if we find that it is in the interest of our people, we'll go ahead. If we see that, no, this is not the right time, then we will postpone it. That's the philosophy.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
That was the Foreign Affairs Advisor of the Interim Government of Bangladesh, Touhid Hossain, talking to ABPLIVE, telling about the roadmap ahead and what is expected from India that the Bangladesh government is expecting. For ABPLIVE, this is Nayanima Basu signing off from Dhaka.